The Molls and Kells show is a show that focuses on social ills and issues that affect individuals and indeed those around them. The show focuses on gender-based violence, child trafficking, men and emotions, dream chases, adoption of love, entrepreneurship, personal branding, identity dynamics, social media and relationships, and mental health. Remember, together we conquer, together we win. The Molls and Kells show is a show that focuses on issues that affect communities and indeed individuals within it. Today, Molly, we are talking each other's keeper.
Yeah.
You know, that village, that together we build a village kind of feel. That culture as a people, loving and taking care of each other. I don't know if we still have that, Molly.
I don't know, Kels, if we still have that phenomenon culture where you cannot exist in solos, we cannot exist in silos. We really are supposed to work together, be together as a society, as a community, and indeed that's the only way we're going to be able to be together as a nation. And I understand that with the predicament of evolving things that are coming along from the Western, some of course from within even ourselves, that has become quite a challenge.
Indeed, Molly. Take for example the advent of social media.
Oh my God.
That has diluted the culture of love as we know it. Take for example, Molly, we know that in the past, Motswana who understand the aspect of Botho, there is an accident, the first thing they would want to do is probably intervene in a way of being of assistance. But today when we see something that is, you know, prompting sort of attention, the first thing we think of is pulling out our phones and recording or maybe taking a picture. Because why are we taking that picture? We want to post it on social media. We want to be the ones that break the news. You see what I mean? So we end up breaking even sad news to families before they even know it. Social media has played a bigger role in diluting and possibly killing this culture.
I definitely concur. And social media, as you put it, it has killed that emotional connection that we used to have. So we sort of feel so distant when we are not the ones that are victimized by situations. Accident, then the first thing you are thinking of is taking a picture. Instead of going maybe or to just make sure you create peace between the people that are fighting, the first thing you are thinking of is a video.
Yes,
I always get shocked. Like if I see a video of somebody hitting either a woman or a vulnerable person on social media, at the back of my mind, I don't even blame the perpetrator. I'm thinking of the person that took the video.
Exactly, Molly. That you should have intervened in some sort of way to be of assistance. But when you want to break the news, because we want to be the ones to break the news. Social media but social media is bad in all its aspects. But this thing of wanting followers and wanting likes, you know, this thing has really pushed us to do things that we should not have otherwise done if we followed the simple principle Botho.
Another thing, Kelly, that maybe has died is neighborliness. I don't know if it's because we are now in the city, but I think now even at home, because majority of us have influxed into the city. It's the same. You and I, if we go to Soro, it's the same type of thing. We bring that city culture back into the village. It has died. I mean, I don't know if you can go knock in at your neighbor's house and say or if you'd rather starve to death.
And you know what the fascinating thing is?
Yeah.
When your grandma that elderly aunt, they still do that because I get when they've lived in the village. They are just upholding that culture. They're not afraid to ask of things from their neighbors. That neighborliness, they still have it. But Rona, we young people, because of you don't even have sugar in the house.
Absolutely. Even apart from that, Kelly, how close are we with our cousins these days? I mean, we've lost that connection. All of that has died as we grow into the cities, and our grandparents are not going to be here forever. So we are probably looking at a situation here where in the next 5 to 10 years individualism would be so high in our societies. It's going to be inevitably difficult to reverse this kind of situation.
You remind me of that era when we were just playing on the street up until darkness, and you just get an elderly person go home, it's late, and you would say yes ma'am. Those days and be on your way. I don't see that happening.
No,
I think the first thing they would do would be to ask you who you are.
Absolutely.
So I think that was really necessary because you had the elderly that understood that
yes, like a child was raised by the village.
Indeed.
Definitely.
So if you really pay attention, bana ba ipuelele ba more vocal, not that we ipuelela go phoso, but it's not in all instances that you really have to feel like your rights have been violated. Sometimes ya bele mogolo a super sone setho se leng gore o solohela gore ka be re godisitswe ka sone, gore a ngwana ke ha go dire jalo tsela ke ga go tlhoka le gore ebe le gore it's your biological parent ka ngwao ya rena ya Setswana. Any person can do that and ought to do that because of the love that we have as a nation. Batswana, we've always been each other's keepers because our culture
we were bred to be each other's keepers. And Kelly, that's a very rich point that you are bringing across, that our culture had instilled in us to be like that. But culture is dynamic. Right? Now we have reinvented the very same culture that it instilled that within us. Now we are in a new culture where it's all about me. It's I all the way. And when we go it's a question of what's in it for me. Whenever there is a we and a couple of people involved, it's a question of what's in it for me. So we really have to grow as a society to make sure that we do not lose the core of who we are as we develop.
And is this a question of trust, Molly? Because like you say, things have evolved. We used to have very protective elderly people in our communities, but now it's very difficult to trust people. It's very difficult to know with certainty that indeed they are keepers. Some are destroyers in our communities.
Absolutely.
Where you can be violated by an uncle you trust. You can be violated by an aunt you trust. So you see, I think that is one of the dynamics that really exist, that trust is very difficult because of this betrayal that exists in families, this betrayal that exists in communities, where your neighbor did it, somebody you should have trusted actually has violated somebody you loved or even you.
Yeah, that is very true, Kels. We actually had Bonnie talk to a few people, and I'm very interested in hearing how the society or the people within our community are understanding this very phenomenon of being each other's keepers, and whether or not it exists, and when exactly did it die. And it's a good thing that she's willing to focus on young people so that we see how far we have really gone astray in view of this key principle.
Take it away, Bonnie.
Thank you, Molls and Kells. It's another exciting episode of the Molls and Kells show. So, Dumelara, and welcome to the Molls and Kells show.
Dumela me.
Okay, can you quickly tell us what's your name and where you stay?
Well, my name is Brian Moralefe and I currently stay in Gaborone.
Okay, Brian, the topic is each other's keeper. Do you believe that the society where we can still rely on each other exists?
Well, in this time and era right now, the society is no longer safe because people turn out to be snakes underneath. But physically, you might think it's a good person, but underneath is not.
Okay, do you think this issue is that because we diverted a lot from our culture and we have adapted so much into this Western culture?
Well, it's all about survival. It's all about survival. So the main reason why culture still doesn't exist in this time and era, but it used to exist late in the 90s and the 80s. But in the 20s right now, it's all about survival. So men gotta do what I do to put the food on the plate. Well, the family will always stand by your side, despite advice. But one thing is that they can never backstab you or leave you like a friend who can do that to you.
Okay, are you to tell me that if you are to lose your close family, would you rely on your extended family for the same support and the protection your close family would have gave you?
Well, I wouldn't say that I'll rely much on my extended family because I don't understand or know them that much, you get. So I'll prefer staying on my own or staying with the few family members who are left with, the people who I know beneath and able to trust with.
All right. So can you say the reason why the society is no longer safe? Do you think it is the reason why there are a lot of ill deeds that are taking place, like theft, like rape, you name it? Do you think this is as a result of the society not being able to be each other's keeper?
Yes, that's the main reason why, because most cases like which prefer the current rape cases which are occurring, you can find what a male friend has raped a female friend because that female friend trusted him, but instead he just did something wrong, which means it's hard to trust people these days. Well, it's all about self-introspect. People should look from beneath. No, I want something from her, but I should build something with her, something real. You get?
Okay. Last question. What are your personal opinion regarding this issue?
My personal opinion regarding this issue is that society is no more safe these days because I might meet you and but when I Botho and the whole issues and face they end up spreading. Like for example, most cases which I've seen is that young girls who intend to fall pregnant in school, they tell a friend whom they trust, but that friend betrays her and tells everybody but without knowing, which means society is no more safe.
All right, thank you so much, Mr. Barry. Tell me, would you say the society we live in today is still as the society ya bogologolo e batsadi ba rona ba goletse mo go yone?
O khona go ikanya motho re gongwe ke motho mo mo itseng kana gore ke motho go itseng o ta go golla go gongwe mo mathateng. Motho a tena ga ta o tsana go wena wa go thusa so le hetso re gongwe o ta monela something in return. Ka bokutshwane kana ha o ka la thoko dio tsa pele di hetugile di tshwanetse go mpieng. Tsa pele ne re izore mabogodi nku a thebana matogo sha ba pile ra thusana mme mona go gompieno ka gore bontsi ja botshelo ja gompieno go lebelo se thata mo mading. Sepela se leng gore motho a ba batla go se dira kana ba batla go thusa ka sone wa ba lebeletse mo goreng o ntsha kitso ga go monela se ha go tshwana le pele mo ne re izore nyamo o gona nnela khoma mafisa a be ke o tshirisa bongwana ke ka yo ya no ka re gompieno re tshelala mo pakentse le gore madiko ona le gore a re go ga go pele madiko ona re teletsang go pele ko ona le gore a re go ga go pele ke gore mo ile gore re hella ka nna ke thusana a teng ga e tshwane le a pele ka ile gore re tsela ka teng gompieno ka gore a ke re go ira ke gone ka gore mo maletse gompieno a sa thoka tshepa opa unlike ya ka nno ka tshepa motho o mongwe ya no o ithele o gantsi mo type prefer a dira sengwe le sengwe no si a tshaba re ngote ga ke like go bona ke sa go itse ke re me ke go petisa mo mothong yo since ke file ra ka nthusa motho o ngwe ene yo ra etsa nthusa ba dira like for example eno e bua thoka no dikoko e khona ra after ke thusa mongwe a be ke ta ska ikana gore ska no ka re ke ntsha ka le so le go motho mo khona go pana le nna ba ntharo go pa thuso ga itse se mothalo go nyenya e khona ra ke tsa mo thusa be ke mara ke re kana go ana ne ke se go thusi mahala ke batla gore o nteboge bogolo ka tikologo e nngwe hea ga gana be ke tsaya ka dikgoka ke gone go mo le gore go heletsa go baka kgang e ntseng yang mo gongwe ke kgona gore abe ke thusa motho kana motho a tshaba go kopa thuso mo go nna ke re ba sa itse gore ke mo go ntseng yang mme gongwe nne nka mo thusa ka pelo e tshwela ke phuthulegile nka se ka mo lopa sepe ko morago ga se tota go gabedi ka gore o kgone o tsholola ke motho e le gore o tsetswe le ene a boya o thusa ke motho e le gore wena le ene ga le itsane go thelele ebile ke gone le kopanang ho mme ebile gape o kgone go tsholola ke e leng gore ga o mo itse a ke re ga le itsane gongwe le kopane ka sone sebaka se so nka gore a ke re go a lekalekana ha ile gore go thoka le gore ke go rate nka re 50-50
Okay, last question. If you were given the power or the chance to change everything around, go leka go busetsa the society to back where it was and how it was, o ka irang?
Ga se go go motho mme hela ha nne le gore ke hile marapo kana ke hile shoma ya go leka ga ke batla gore ke Thomas ke re ya go dira ya go leka go ira santha la gone go se motho o thokala robo o make sure gore ke gore batho ba nna le tshepo mo go ba bangwe ka gore ha go sena tshepo mo go ba bangwe ra o tswala re tshela ka re ntse ka re tshela ya so santha la sene gore nna mo bono senjame se nka se rotwetsa ke go make sure gore go nna le tshepo mo go ba bangwe sengwe le sengwe se se iragala ka mo go lola meng kana ke re ka mo go thoma meng mme ebile re rotwetsa gore re utlwane re le batho ebile re tsane senta ka go lekalekana.
Thank you so much, Bonnie. Wow, Molly, I think these opinions tota di tsamela na hela lessons and resibua tota gore batho ba tlhaloganya gore tirisano mo go gota wa maybe even the challenges we stated. I hear some of them ya ka malapa a sa kitlana njaka back in the day, you know, tsone di challenges of social media jalo ke ra gore I hear them and I completely concur.
Absolutely. It's the reality of things, Kells. It's the reality of things, and I think some people who are missing the point actually think there is nothing wrong. There's nothing wrong that is happening. They're just happily living their lives. But in the long run, I see that we're going to have a very, very divided society, and unnecessarily so. Unnecessarily so. I
understand why they're missing it, like you say. I think because we've now nurtured more individualism that we don't see when there is a gap or a problem in our lack of unity.
Yeah, earlier, Kells, we spoke of social media, and I think as a solution, it's one of the key things that we can use to our advantage with regards to being each other's keepers.
Yeah,
that's where we can start now. We can start start with simple things, just managing how we talk to each other, how we address each other, also just raising awareness of the importance of just being there for one another. Social media can be a key thing now where we develop even our mannerisms and in terms of how we conduct ourselves in view of other people's predicaments and grievances. We gave an example earlier of people who rush to take videos. Why don't we do a reverse now? Why don't we do a reverse where we are quicker to console than to share the bad news? Social media for me is an opportunity that it's an opportunity for us to redeem ourselves.
Indeed, Molly. And you know, when it comes to social media, I always say, how about you employ the rule?
Yeah.
Think about how the next person is going to feel. That will help you, because every time you post, you reflect on whatever you're about to put up on social media, and in that you assess how it's going to affect the next person.
Absolutely.
And sometimes you might even desist from posting because you see that it lacks that Botho we are talking about.
Exercise the golden rule.
Exactly,
golden rule.
And I think let's go back to just respect in its literal form as we know it, Botho.
Yeah.
Hamazadi abualwana in the streets with love, with patience. Let's listen to what they say, because Tota Hela, with age comes wisdom, Molly. They've seen a lot of things we haven't seen, and because they have seen so much and have so much wisdom and light. Let's listen to them. Listen and just say thank you for having interest in my life.
Absolutely.
When you don't know who I am or where I come from, thank you for showing me love.
Even neighborliness, Kells, I think that's one of the key things that we ought to also pay particular attention to, even in the cities, because now things like neighborhood watch, we shouldn't have to be convinced by the police or the forces to have neighborhood watch. How about that becomes a culture? How about that becomes a part of who we are as a society? You know what I mean? How about when I hear something off at my neighbor's house, I can quickly call them to check if they're okay, or even call the police if I feel there might actually be something out.
I mean, when I hear an alarm at my neighbor's house, I recheck my doors to see if I've indeed locked them, because I don't want whatever is going on there to come to my home.
That
so
is not good.
I don't exercise the first step of just genuinely finding out what's wrong and how I can be of assistance, by even merely calling the police or just, checking on them. Is everything okay?
Yeah.
What's going on that side. Is worse, Molly. And I think that's the one thing we really have to fix for the sake of for our safety, for starters, but even for the sake of our children. Let them growing up knowing that neighborliness is possible and we can protect and take care of each other.
That is very true, Kels. That is, I like that you also mentioned children, which gives now the responsibility to families, to parents, to adults that are raising children. Like, Kels, when was the last time we sat with our cousins? When was the last time they made an effort to come to us? We have now become this society that is more within the nuclear setup, and even so, the nuclear setup also isn't even that perfect. We have really foregone the extended family route, and it seems like now people that are in the extended family arena are no longer supposed to be within our circles.
Exactly.
In fact, I think with the city life, we have developed more trust for ourselves and the people that are immediately next to us, and forgotten about the village and our grandparents and our aunts.
Speaking of that, Molls, we only make an attempt to be available when there are big occasions, when there is a wedding, and unfortunately funerals. You see, scatter roses after I'm gone. We don't show love when people are still living, but when we are informed of the passing of a loved one, that's when we act all living and we come forth. We need to exercise this Botho, because that is the one thing that kept us together as families.
Absolutely. Speaking of Botho, we really need to work on our level of respect for each other, Kels, and not just on social media, even out there in the streets. If I respect you and you respect me back, respect is not me being nice to you or smiling to you all the time. Respect is also me being able to give you a helping hand when you are in need. That is something that has become really crucial. And each other's keeper, I mean, that's a very rich phrase, but really, how far do I go to make sure that the next person is okay? If kindness becomes a trait that is embedded in us, it will really be a good thing for all of us as a society.
And you know what, Molly, what we need to do is to just develop trust amongst each other. Uncles, let's protect our nieces and our nephews. And similarly so, aunts, let's protect our nieces and our nephews. Fathers, let's protect our children. Mothers, let's protect our children. Because I think this thing of violating family members is one of the things that is really detrimental to us being each other's keepers and to us helping and being there for each other.
That is very true, Kelly. I think we have wrapped it up for the day, and I'm happy that we had a chance to talk to Botswana today. Thank you so much for watching the Molls and Kells show.